feel it was very necessary.
Mr. President, a couple of questions for you on Iran, but first one affects Americans here at home. Gas prices, today they hit $4.
We're $4, yeah, and we have a country that's not going to be throwing a nuclear weapon at us in 6 months.
But Americans are feeling the effects in the interim.
And they're also feeling a lot safer.
What is the plan to bring them back down?
All I have to do is leave Iran, and we'll be doing that very soon, and they'll become tumbling down. And stock prices were up today almost to a record on the strain. But if they want something, but I would say that within 2 weeks, maybe 3, we're hitting them very hard. Last night we knocked out tremendous amounts of missile-making facilities. We, as you probably read or wrote, we knocked out. Excuse me.
Hard to figure out. The U.S. will be gone or done with the war.
I think we're 2 or 3 weeks. We'll leave.
$4. That number is sitting at gas stations across America right now, staring back at drivers, families, commuters, and small business owners every single time they pull up to the pump. And for millions of Americans, that number hits differently than it used to. It hits in the grocery budget, it hits in the school run. It hits in the quiet decision a parent makes between filling the tank all the way or just putting in $20 and hoping for the end of the week. $4 a gallon. And when a reporter confronted President Donald Trump with exactly that reality this week, his answer was not what you might expect. The moment was brief, almost casual, but it landed. A reporter pointed out the obvious. Gas prices have reached $4 a gallon. Americans are feeling it. Trump's response? Yes, it hit $4. But now we won't have a country firing nuclear weapons at us. And then, when pressed, when the reporter noted that everyday Americans are genuinely feeling the financial pain at the pump, Trump pushed back again. At the same time, they feel a lot safer. 2 sentences, 2 very different worlds. One world measured in dollars per gallon. The other measured in geopolitical security and the absence of nuclear threat. And here's the thing, both of those worlds are real. They're just being lived by very different people in very different ways. Let's start with the world that most Americans wake up in every single morning. According to AAA, the national average for regular unleaded gasoline has climbed past $4 a gallon. That's a number that economists, energy analysts, and kitchen table conversations have been watching with growing concern. For context, the average American household drives roughly 15,000 miles per year. At roughly 28 miles per gallon for a typical vehicle, that's around 535 gallons annually. At $4 a gallon, you're looking at over $2,000 a year just in gas. That's before you factor in the ripple effect. When fuel costs go up, shipping costs go up. When shipping costs go up, grocery prices go up. When grocery prices go up, the family that was already stretching their budget finds themselves stretching a little further and finding a little less. This isn't abstract. This is real. And millions of Americans across the country, in rural communities, in suburbs, in cities without reliable public transit, are navigating this right now. So when a reporter says Americans are feeling it, that's not spin, that's Tuesday morning. Now, here's where it gets complicated. Because President Trump is not ignoring that reality, he's making a trade-off argument. And it's worth understanding what that argument actually is before we react to it. The implicit logic goes something like this. The tariffs and economic pressures that the current administration has applied, particularly in relation to certain adversarial nations, are part of a broader strategic posture. The idea being short-term economic pain in exchange for long-term national security. The specific mention of nuclear weapons is significant. It signals that the administration views the current geopolitical moment, whether referring to North Korea, Iran, Russia, or some combination of concerns, as an existential level threat that justifies domestic economic disruption. In other words, yes, your gas costs more. But the alternative, in their framing, is a world where the security threat is even more dangerous. It is a serious argument. It has been made before by administrations on both sides of the aisle across decades of American foreign policy. The question, and it is a legitimate one, is whether most Americans feel that trade-off is being made with them or to them. And this is where the conversation gets human, because there is something almost surreal about the gap between those two responses. A parent filling up her minivan outside Columbus, Ohio, doesn't feel nuclear security in her fingertips when she swipes her card. She feels the number on the screen. She feels the calculation in her head, the groceries she'll have to put back, the birthday present that'll have to wait, the side job she's quietly considering picking up again. A truck driver navigating routes through the Midwest isn't thinking about missile trajectories. He's thinking about fuel surcharges, delivery contracts, and whether the math still works at the end of the month. And yet, in a completely different sense, there is a military family in Virginia, a veteran in Arizona, a defense analyst in Washington, D.C., who might hear Trump's words and think, he's not wrong. The world is genuinely volatile right now. Nuclear-armed adversaries are not a fictional threat. The decisions made in the next few years years about deterrence, alliance, and strategic posture will echo for a generation. Both things can be true simultaneously. The gas price pain is real. The security concern is real. The question is who gets to decide which one matters more and whose sacrifice counts. Here's what history tells us. Americans can absorb a lot. Economic hardship, uncertainty, sacrifice, these are not new to the American experience. What Americans tend to struggle with is the feeling that the sacrifice isn't shared. When fuel prices rise, they don't rise for everyone equally. The executive who flies private doesn't feel $4 a gallon. The family with one aging sedan feels almost nothing else. That asymmetry, real or perceived, is politically combustible, and the administration knows it, which is why the framing of safety matters so much. Because safety is universal, in theory. Safety is something everyone deserves. If the argument lands, if Americans genuinely feel that the economic disruption is buying them real, tangible protection, then the political math could work. If it doesn't land, if the pain feels arbitrary or disconnected from any visible result, then $4 a gallon becomes a very different story by the time midterms roll around. Here's what we know tonight. Gas is $4 a gallon. That is a documented, measurable fact with documented, measurable consequences for millions of American families. And the President of the United States has responded to that fact by pointing to nuclear security, by suggesting that the trade-off, in his assessment, is worth it. Whether you agree with him or not, whether you think that argument is visionary or tone-deaf or something in between, it tells us something important about how this administration sees the moment we're in. They believe the threat is real, they believe the sacrifice is justified, and they are betting politically, strategically, morally that history will agree with them. The American people will have their own answer to that bet. They'll give it at the pump, they'll give it at the dinner table, and eventually they'll give it at the ballot box. $4. That's where we are tonight. I'm Ivana Smith. Thanks for watching. If you found this valuable, subscribe and let us know in the comments. Do you think economic sacrifice is worth national security gains? We read every response.